Yes, Jigar, please summarize the last lecture. Pallav, 10 number. Pallav, please summarize the last lecture.
Hello.
Yes, bolo.
Uh, fax devices uses, sir.
Which fax devices we learned in the last lecture?
SVC,
Yes.
Statcom,
Statecom, yes.
uh, SVC na types,
What are the
TCR and
types? Yes, yes.
TCR
Bolo.
and TSC.
What is the full form of TCR?
Thyristor control reactor.
And second one is?
Thyristor switch capacitor.
What is the difference between these two? Umang, 47 number. What is the difference between thyristor switch capacitor and thyristor control reactor? 47, Umang.
हाँ सर.
Yes, what is the difference between these two?
सर सर याद नहीं है सब.
Okay, 65 number. Devans Tucker. What is the difference between thyristor switch capacitor and thyristor control reactor?
Sorry, याद નથી અત્યારે.
Okay, so let's summarize the last lecture. We have studied the different types of equipment used for the mitigation of power quality problems. All of you see the screen? देखा है बजाना screen?
हाँ सर.
Okay. So the last lecture we studied the 4 different types of fax devices which is used to mitigate the power quality problems. So first we see that UPFC and DVR. UPFC full form is Unified Power Flow Controller. DVR is Dynamic Voltage Restorer. Both devices function is same to inject the voltage in series with the line to maintain the voltage at the load bus, or we can say that to maintain the voltage support at the load bus near to the rated value by injecting or absorbing the proper amount of the reactive powers. Third fax devices, we see the SVC, static wire compensator. In that there are 2 different categories or 2 fax devices which is used for solve the 2 different power quality problems, like for voltage sag or under voltage condition. We use the thyristor switch capacitor. By injecting the reactive power, we can make the terminal voltage near to the rated voltage. Same way, we use the thyristor control reactor when over voltage condition or voltage swell condition happen, so that absorb the extra amount of reactive power and maintain the voltage at the load bus near to the rated voltage or work per unit. So that is a function of SVC. So in SVC, generally we use the combination of both the thyristor switch capacitor and thyristor control reactor, as well as we also use the fixed capacitor and fixed reactor. So all this combination of the devices, that is called as a static wire compensator. Then fourth one is a STATCOM. Full form is static synchronous compensator. Okay. This is also a shunt devices that maintain the voltage at the load bus near to the 1 per unit, as well as they provide the stability against any transient happens in the system. And we will see that we also see that what is the difference between STATCOM and SVC in terms of characteristics, and how the STATCOM provides a better voltage regulation or stability as compared to the SVC. So as you see that this is a single line diagram of UPFC and DVR, how they inject the voltage in series with by using these converters, take the feedback from the load, and based on that generate the control signals for the converters thyristor and generate the appropriate amount of the reactive power and inject in series with the line. So UPFC generally used for the transmission line and DVR used for the distribution line. The operating principle of both the devices are same. This is the simple diagram of both the devices. Here you can see that different components of both the FACS devices, we use a rectifier, inverters, series transformer, and control circuits. Clear? And this is a simple vector diagram how they inject the voltage and maintain the voltage at the load bus to the rated value. And then we study the SVC. We know that they supply or absorb the reactive power. So in SVC, there are two types. One is TCR and TSC. So TCR, there is a anti-parallel thyristor in series with, if we connect the reactor, so that makes the thyristor control reactor. So why it is called as a control reactor? Because we provide switching to the thyristor at any fiery angle. So that's why it's called as a thyristor control reactor. Where in the thyristor switch capacitor, the configuration is same, anti-parallel thyristor, but in series we connect the capacitor. But here the difference between the TSC and TCR is that in TSC we switch on the thyristor at zero crossing of the voltage across the thyristor. The reason is that to avoid the transient. Here, if you switch on the thyristor in TSC apart from the zero crossing instant, so we know that there is high voltage across the two terminals, so that creates a transient switching. So that's why to remove the transient or to avoid the transient in capacitor switching, we must turn on the thyristor at zero crossing of the voltage across the thyristor. Clear? So that will not affected by the any transients. Otherwise, possible that damage the thyristors. So you should always turn on the thyristor in thyristor switch capacitor at zero crossing instant. That's why it is called as a thyristor switch capacitor, because it is act as a switch for full positive cycle or negative cycle that directly connect the capacitor with the line. Clear? Same way, when voltage at the maximum value or peak value, when current reaches to the zero, at that time you suppress all the firing pulses to the thyristor, because at the current zero your voltage is maximum. So at that time you not switch on the thyristor. So at that time you disconnect by suppressing all the firing pulses given to the thyristor, so that block that. So you can see that this is a single line diagram of thyristor switch capacitor, and it is divided into a suitable number of branches. You give the reason in the last lecture why we divided into number of branches, because the reactive power requirement is vary as per the variation of the load. So if your load is very dynamic in nature, so that requires a different amounts of the reactive powers. We basically use the thyristor switch capacitor when we require the reactive power, or when voltage sag or under voltage condition is happens. Clear? So in under voltage condition or voltage sag condition, we require the reactive power. Clear? Because the voltage sag or under voltage condition is happen because of lack of reactive power at the load side. So to provide the sufficient amount of reactive power at the load side, we provide the appropriate switching of the capacitor. So for that we provide the suitable number of branches of the thyristor switch capacitor. So I hope you understand this difference between TSC, thyristor switch capacitor, and thyristor control reactor. Then generally we use the combination of both thyristor switch capacitor and thyristor control reactor. The reason is that the variation of the load is from over voltage condition to as well as from under voltage condition. Sometimes over voltage condition happens at the load side. So in that case, we require the thyristor control reactor, because thyristor control reactor absorbs the excess amount of reactive power and reduce the voltage to the 1 per unit if it is more than 1 per unit. Same way, thyristor switch capacitor is used when under voltage or voltage swell condition happens. When suddenly switch on the large load, generally at that time voltage sag or under voltage condition happens. So at that time we require the thyristor switch capacitor to provide the sufficient amount of reactive power. So generally we use the combination of both TSC and TCR So that provide the optimum solution in the wide range from fully inductive to fully capacitive parts. So we can solve the problem created by the power quality problem like voltage swell or voltage sag. In both the condition, we can remove this using both these devices. So this is a simple single line diagram of the whole SVC system. So the combination of these mechanical switch reactor, thyristor control reactor, thyristor switch capacitor, harmonic filter, and mechanical switch capacitor. So combination of all these 5 devices make the static var compensation system or SVC. Okay. So that provide the full control range from completely for fully capacitive to fully inductive. Clear? Next flex devices we have studied in the last lecture, that is STATCOM, static synchronous compensator. This is also shunt connected devices which is used to improve the transient stability. Once you understand the transient stability, then you can easily understand how the STATCOM provides it. In case of power system operation and control, once me sir studied this topic, transient stability, that is easy to understand how the STATCOM provides the transient stability against this type of power quality problems. So that when we start the flex devices, chapter 2, at that time we study in detail how they provide the transient stability in the power system. So at that time, just you remember that STATCOM provide the power quality solutions as well as transient stability to the grid, and as well as regulate the voltage at the terminal, as I already told you, that provide the protection against any voltage sag or voltage swell conditions by absorbing or injecting the appropriate amount of the reactive power. So when voltage is low, it means under voltage or voltage sag conditions, STATCOM acts as a capacitive, so that injects the reactive power into the system. And if over voltage condition happens, voltage swell or over voltage condition happens, it is act as a STATCOM inductive, so that absorbs the excess amount of the reactive power from the system. So this is about the STATCOM. So the construction of the STATCOM, that is made up of voltage source converters. Here I say that it is a converter, not a rectifier, not an inverter, because it acts as a both rectifier as well as inverters. But general case, when it is inject the reactive power, it is act as an inverter. Whenever the capacitor requires the storage, at that time, that act as a rectifier to store the battery. So the coupling transformers. And in the VSC, we generally use the GTO, gate turn off thyristor, and IGBT, because here we operate the STATCOM at the higher voltage level, because we connect the STATCOM at the load bus, which is operated at high voltage level. So for that, we require the GTO or IGBT, because voltage rating of both the devices is higher as compared to the thyristors. So that's why we use the IGBT and GTO. For generally high voltage level, we use the GTO. For low voltage level, we use the IGBT. And this is a single line diagram of the STATCOM. You can see that this is a DC source, and this is a voltage source converter, and that inject the reactive power into the load bus through this coupling transformer. And this is a controller of the STATCOM. This is a detailed single line diagram with the characteristics. And last lecture we see what is the difference between SVC and STATCOM characteristics, how the STATCOM provides a better voltage regulations as compared to the SVC. So you can see in the characteristic of the STATCOM, here at the capacitive side, they provide the maximum capacitive support at the very low voltage at 0.1 or 0.2 per unit voltage, where in the SVC, that will not provide the maximum capacitive power at the low voltage level. You can see here at 0.2 voltage, reactive power is not a maximum. It is maximum here at near 0.9 per units. Clear? So under large disturbance condition, when suddenly your voltage reduces near 0.2 or 0.1 per unit voltage, so at that time SVC is not effective as compared to the STATCOM. So under the large disturbance condition, STATCOM provides the better voltage regulations against any power quality problem like voltage sag as well as voltage swell. So this is the main advantage of STATCOM as compared to the SVC. So same Here I have written here that provide the better voltage support, provide better improved transient stability margins because they provide the more reactive power at the low voltage. The reason is that in the SVC, static VAR compensator, the reactive power provided by the SVC is directly proportional to the square of the system voltage. So when the system voltage, it means load burst voltage decreases, reactive power supplying capacity of the SVC is decreasing. So here it is in a square proportion of the voltage. So if there is small reduction in the voltage at the load side, that drastically reduces the capacity of the SVC, reactive power supplying capacity or absorbing capacity. Where in the STATCOM, the reactive power supplying capacity is directly proportional to voltage. Here. So here it will not affect that much of level as compared to the SVC. So that's why in the STATCOM, we not require the large capacitor or reactor as we require in the SVC. So that, and also the STATCOM provides the fast response because in STATCOM we use the GTO and IGBT. We know that the switching speed of the GTO and IGBT is more as compared to the thyristors. So whenever any fault happens or power quality problem happens, STATCOM provides a very fast response as compared to the SVC. So this is another advantage of using the STATCOM. Another advantage of using the STATCOM is that they provide the harmonic elimination. If you provide the GTO or IGBT for firing to the GTO and IGBT for selective harmonics, so that eliminate the particular harmonic. Like if you provide the proper gate pulses, selective firing pulses to the GTO and IGBT, so that can able to eliminate the particular harmonic like third, fifth, or seventh order harmonic. So it is act as an active filter also. Now, this is the different power quality techniques we studied the fixed capacitor. If you use the fixed shunt capacitor in parallel with the load, so what type of power quality problem solved by these devices? So that provides the power factor correction, yes. Harmonic filtering, yes, but it is partially only. That not provide the filtering all the harmonics. Then voltage unbalance correction, if it is a three-phase system, because we know that unbalance happens only in three-phase system, where all the three-phase voltages are deviated from its average value. So that not provide the protection against voltage unbalance. Same way, complete harmonic cancellation. By injection, it is not possible by fixed shunt capacitor. Second, TSC, which is a subpart of SVC, thyristor switch capacitor. So that also provide the protection against, that also improve the power factor. Provide the harmonic filtering, but again, it is a partial. Same again, not provide the protection against voltage unbalance or complete cancellation of harmonics by injection. Third one is combination of TCR, thyristor control reactor, thyristor switch capacitor, plus filter. Again, they provide the power factor corrections, harmonic filtering, complete harmonic filterings. Voltage unbalance correction is provided, but not a complete harmonic cancellation by injection. Where STATCOM provides all the solution against all these power quality problems, power factor correction, harmonic filtering, voltage unbalance, as well as complete harmonic cancellation by injection. So this is because this fourth one is because of STATCOM can be act as an active filter. So that completely cancel the harmonics by injecting the harmonics. Exactly in opposite phase. We will study in the next topic how the active filter works. So next topic is harmonic filter. As we know that there are two types of filter, active filter and passive filter. So what consists of filter? So it is nothing but an inductor and capacitor connected together, and that block the harmonic current or shunt them to the ground. Some filter block the harmonics or some block of the harmonic filter shunt them or divert them to the ground. By this way, they protect the system against the harmonics. There are basically two types based on the connection, series and shunt filter. So series filter that consists of capacitor and inductor in parallel, but that is connected in series with the load. That's why it is called as a series filter. Again, repeat, capacitor and inductor both are connected in parallel in the series filter, but this combination is connected in series with the load. That's why it is called as a series filter. So as we know that when inductor and capacitor is connected in parallel, that provide the high impedance. So that provide the high impedance path to the harmonic. One upon omega c. Clear? So that is the equation when both are connected in series. It means both are cancel out each other impedance. So that's why they provide the low impedance path for the harmonic currents. So this shunt filter divert them to the ground because it is connected in shunt and other terminal is connected to ground. So it easily divert this harmonic current to the ground. So the advantage of this shunt filter is that it is a it is a less expensive and it is more commonly used in the system to filter out the harmonic. So this is a single line diagram. This capacitor, inductor in current in series, and here it is grounded. So that provide the low impedance path to the harmonic component. So that easily grounded through this passive filter. So another two parts of the filter, another two category of the filter is passive filter and active filter. So what is called as passive filter? So can anyone give me the answer? What is called passive filter and what is called active filter? Yes, anyone? Anyone can give the answer? What is passive filter? Smith Desai, 14 number. What is passive filter? If you have any idea, please give the answer. Sivraj Dave. (37) Dhruva. Sorry, Durva Patel.
Yes, sir. Passive filters only include passive components
Why it is called passive?
because they respond to passive components.
What are the passive component?
Resistors, capacitor, inductor.
But in the filter, we generally use only inductor and capacitor. Okay. So it is partially true, but what is the main logic that side is called as a passive filter, another filter is called as an active filter? Jai Patel, 41 number. Can you differentiate active and passive filter? Do you have any idea? Jai Patel, 41 number.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Active filter are those filters which can amplify the filter output, and
Yes.
passive filter
અવાજ કપાય છે તમારો.
cover, sir.
અવાજ બ્રેક થાય છે.
Hello.
યસ બોલો આવે છે.
Active filter are the filter which have the capacity of amplifying the filter output.
Amplifying.
Yeah, amplifying. Yes, sir. Capacity to amplify.
No. So let's understand what is passive and what is active filter. So in passive filter, we have consist of discrete or static capacitor or inductor only. There is no any electronic devices we use to dynamically control the harmonics. So generally passive filter is designed for a specific harmonic like third, fifth or seventh order harmonic. So based on that, the value of inductor and capacitor is different. Suppose I want to remove the third, fifth and seventh harmonics. So I have to design based on that the different LNC combinations. So for third harmonics, I require another passive filter. Seventh, fifth and seventh, I require the another passive filter. So that provide the protection to the specific harmonics. They not provide the protection against all the harmonics. So that do not respond to the change in the frequency. Suppose that design the filter for third, fifth, and seventh harmonics. So that not provide the protection against 13th and 15th order harmonics. Clear? That's why it is called as a passive filter. It will not respond to the change in frequency. So this is not an active part of the filter. It is a passive. Whatever it designed, only for that provide the protection. So that's why it is referred to as a trap, or sometimes it is called as a choke. Yeah. So it is ineffective for the harmonic change due to load changes, because as we know that as load changes for different inductive loads, harmonics also changes. So they not provide the protection for the dynamic change in the frequency. So this is a drawback of passive filter, that not provide the protection against all the harmonics. Second disadvantage, that the size is very large because of large size of inductor and capacitors. And another drawback is that creates the parallel series resonance and also creates the filtering characteristic that is affected by the source impedance. So these are the passive filters characteristics, advantage and disadvantage. One advantage is that they provide the low initial cost. They are available at low initial cost as compared to the active filter. So this is a simple diagram of passive filter. You can see that fifth harmonic you designed LNC, for seventh you design LNC, 11th you design LNC. So it is provide the protection against for specific harmonics only. Yeah. Now active filter. So in active filter, that is also called as active power line conditioner, because that condition the power level, whatever the condition of or whatever the harmonic present in the line at the load side, based on that, it generates the same amount of harmonics but exactly out of phase, so that cancel out this harmonics from the system. So the main difference between active filter is that and passive filter is that rather that block harmonics or divert the harmonic, they condition the harmonic currents by injecting the harmonics of the same amount which is presented in the system but exactly out of phase. So in that we require the inverters or rectifier to monitor and sense the harmonic current and create the counter harmonic currents which is injected to cancel out the harmonic current generated by the loops. Sometimes they also provide the protection against voltage sag and voltage swell. So this is the main advantage, that active filter provides the filtering in the dynamic condition. Whatever the harmonic present in the load side, they provide the protection against all the harmonics. So you can see that this is a single line diagram of shunt active filter. Here is a generator, pure sine wave at the generating side. This is the transmission line representation, inductor. This inductor represents the load. So because of non-linear load here at the load side, current is not a pure sine wave. So that largely affects the operation of the non-linear load. So that's why we require this active filter. So based on the harmonic presented in the load current, this active filter generate the counter harmonic currents, which is exactly in out of phase, also opposite of the phase of the harmonic present in the load current, and cancel out the harmonics from the load current and make the load current near to the sine wave. So this is a basic single line diagram of the active power filters. Same again, this is a converter which is work as a inverters as well as rectifier. Another device which is used to remove the power quality problem, that is a motor generator sets. So here the motors which is supplied from the power system, synchronous generator supplies the load and flywheel, and all are connected with the common axis. So when the motor is rotated, that store the energy, rotational energy into the flywheel. So that is used under the condition of voltage sag or swell condition to protect the system against these two power quality problems. So this is called as a motor generator set. This is generally used in the industry because it's a large size. This is a single line diagram of simple graphical representation of how this look like. This is a motor supply side, they rotate. Both are connected in same shaft, motor and generator. In between that, we connect the flywheel. So here it is a sensitive load. So suppose that any deviation from the supply side, over voltage or under voltage condition happens. So this sensitive load is not affected by that because here we have the motor generator set with the flywheel. So flywheel is rotating. So under the voltage condition, flywheel provides the mechanical power to generator and that maintain the voltage sensitive load side. So this is a protection against the generally voltage sag condition or under voltage condition. Another device we use to remove the power quality problems, basically impulsive or oscillated transients, surge suppressor. We already discussed in the last lecture that we use the surge suppressor or surge diverter to protect the equipment against any surges, impulsive surging or oscillatory surges. So where it is located, so at the utility side, where the substation it is located at the utility side, that is called as surge arrestor or surge diverters. If it is at the end use side, consumer side, so it is called as a transient voltage surge suppression. But basic principle of the surge suppressor is that to divert the surge happens because of lightning strokes in the power systems or because of sudden switching of the load. So that diverts the surge to the ground, or they limit the transient voltage because of lightning or switching of the surge to acceptable level, so that will not harmful to the equipments. So in a utility side, the arrestor is connected near to the equipment to protect it again. And at the user side, TVSI is connected inside the facility between the power outlet and sensitive load equipments to protect against the transients. So this is a figure where in the substation, we connect the surge suppressor. So this is a surge suppression used to protect against the lightning struck or any type of voltage surge. So that provide the low impedance path, the transient or voltage surge, and easily grounded them and protect your transformer against this power quality problems. Another device we use to for the power quality problems, generally for the noise removing, we use the noise filter. The noise is nothing but a low pass filter used to prevent unwanted frequency to entering from the sensitive equipments. Same way, it is like a filter. It is a combination of inductor and capacitor connected in parallel, which is there. So generally, inductor allows the low frequency fundamental and pass them, and capacitor function is to in parallel with the inductor that diverts this high frequency, or we can say that harmonic frequency divert by this capacitor. Basically, there are two types of noise. One is common mode noise and another is a normal mode noise. So what is the normal mode noise? So it is nothing but a noise which is created between live wire and neutral wire. And common mode noise, that is nothing but a noise between live wire and ground wire, or between neutral wire to ground wire. So that is the difference between normal mode noise and common mode noise. So that type of protection is provided by this capacitor, and inductor allows the low frequency component. By this way, this noise filter works to provide the protection against any type of the noise. This noise filter may be used in combination with the TVSS, transient voltage suppression, at the receiving side, at the consumer sides, or it may be used alone, depending upon the requirements. Next device we use to protect the equipment at the consumer side for the power quality problem like voltage sag or swell or transients. That is nothing but isolation transformer or ferroresonant transformer. So that generally isolate the sensitive equipment from the transient or any type of the noise which is produced from the utility side, and save your sensitive equipment against these power quality problems. So basically this transformer consists of the two winding, like a normal transformer, primary, secondary winding with magnetic core, but with extra features that it provides grounded shielded or ground shield, which is made up of non-magnetic material and which is located between the two windings. So when any noise or transient happens from the utility side and transmitted through the capacitance which is created between the primary and shielding, so this noise or transient is passing to the passing to the ground through this capacitance. So that's why they provide the protection against any transient or noise. Same are noise filters that also prevent the common mode noise, which is reaching and damaging the sensitive equipments. Another type of ferroresonant transformer, which is a delta star transformers, where the star side, which is grounded, so that provides the protection from the triplet harmonics, multiple or third harmonics created by the end users. Because an end user load are non-linear, so sometimes these triplet harmonics created by the load and transferred to the utility side. So to protect the supply side or utility side, to prevent that supply side to harmonics, we have used this delta star transformer with star is grounded, the secondary sides. So here you can see the diagram. This is the first diagram, which is a ferroresonant transformers. You can see that here non-magnetic shielding is provided. So that creates the capacitance between primary winding and this magnetic material shielded, and it is grounded here. So whenever any transient or noise is transferred from the source side to this capacitor, it is grounded. So your load is protected against these two power quality problems. Second is you provide the three-phase delta star isolation transformer. So here you can see that star side neutral is grounded. So whenever here load side any triple harmonic is created, that is transferred to the delta side. So here the delta side, there is no space for the third harmonic to transform from this primary winding of the delta side to the source side. Because here delta side that rotating in this delta formation and in the form of heat, they create the loss, so that not injected to the utility side or supply side. So by this way, this delta star transformer protects the utility against any triplet harmonics which is generated by the non-linear moves. Energy storage system is another equipment used to provide the protection, provide the protection against any interruptions happen in the system, power supply. So as we know that there are different types of energy storage mediums by which we can store the energy. So based on the different energy storage mediums, different characteristics like energy density, charge discharge time, effect of repeated cycling performance. So that based on that energy storage medium provide the protection against any type of interruption. So basically there are four types of energy storage system. First is battery or advanced battery energy storage system. Second is superconducting magnetic energy storage system. Third is flywheel energy storage system. And fourth one is capacitor or ultra capacitor storage system. So by all these four different energy storage system, we can provide the protection to the sensitive load against any interruption. So all are the power quality improvement devices we studied. So first we start with the FACS devices. Then we study the noise filter. Then two filter based on connection, series filters, parallel filter. Then based on how they provide the protection to the filter, how they works actively or passively. So based on that, two filters classify active filter and passive filter. Then motor generator sets. Then energy storage system. Then isolation transformers, noise filter, surge suppression. So all are the solution against power quality problems. So I hope it is clear to all of you how to remove the power quality problem in the system, in actual system. So these are the devices generally used at the load side. It is clear to all of you? Any doubt up to this? Yes? Any doubt? Devices which is used to remove the power quality problems. Any doubt in any device? Okay. So next slide here, which shows the power quality standards as per the IEEE 519, which is related to the harmonic voltage limits for different voltage level system. So here you can see that in the table, there is a first column bus voltage, second is maximum individual harmonic component in percentage, and third column is the maximum THD, total harmonic distortion, in percentage. So for different voltage level or different bus voltage, the maximum individual harmonic contribution or maximum THD is limited by the standards of IEEE 519. So this is the first 69 kV or below system. The maximum individual harmonic components not more than 3% as per the standards. And maximum THD level, total harmonic distortion, should not be more than 5%. For a 69 kV or below that. If the bus voltage is between 115 kV to 161 kV, then individual harmonic component must be below 1.5% for individual harmonics. Like suppose the third harmonic is a dominant harmonics in this system. So third order harmonics contribution not more than 1.5% of the bus voltage. So suppose that here your bus voltage is 100 kV. For simple, take the bus voltage 100 kV, and if third harmonic component in your bus voltage is the dominant harmonics, so that dominant harmonics, third order harmonics contribution not more than 1.5 kV. Clear? 1.5% of this bus voltage. If 100 kV is the bus voltage. Same way, maximum THD, total harmonic distortion, not more than 2.5%. And above 161 kV, it is 1%. Individual harmonic contribution, not more than 1%. And THD, not more than 1.5%. So that is as per the standard of IEEE 519 in harmonic voltage. Clear? So here we compare the different standards. So based on the different parameters, so here there are parameter in first column, harmonic voltage and balance. Here there are three standards. Basically, all over the world, generally these two standards are followed. But in European countries, this standard is follow EN 50160. So we compare this. What are the different parameters for that? What are the standards in all the three? First is the harmonic. So in IEEE 519, standard for the harmonic is that THD voltage is 1.5 to 5%. As you will see in the last slide, you can see that THD is maximum 1.5 and minimum is 1.5, maximum is 5% as per the IEEE 519 standards. Same here. Same way THD in current. So that is between 5 to 20% at the PCC. PCC means at point of common coupling. The harmonic distortion in the current, total harmonic distortion in the current must be between 5 to 20% of the rated current. Then as per the IEC standards for equipment, total harmonic distortion should be less than 8%. So you can see that for different standards, the range of the harmonic is different. Same way in the European standards, for individual harmonic limit is between 0.5 to 6%. Clear? So you can see that IEEE 519 standards and European standards, individual harmonic limit is given, but in IEC standard is not given. In IEC, only total harmonic distortion limit is given below 8%. So in all the different standards, the value of different power quality problems or range of the different power quality problem or standard is different. Clear? Same way voltage unbalance. So in IEEE 519, there is no standard available for voltage unbalance, where in IC only 2% variation is allowed, where in European standard it is only allowed between 2 to 3%. So same way in other parameter also it varies. So now let's see that what are the responsible for this power quality improvement. Clear? So in general, in different countries, there is a regulatory commission that develop the standards or framework for the power quality related problems and standards related to this. So that makes the framework or grid codes or performance standards for transmission as well as distribution lines. They provide the regulation or they provide the standards for the tariff structure also. And they solve the disputes of transmission as well as distribution companies. So all these standards are made by these regulatory commissions. In India, we have Central Electricity Regulatory Commissions. They make the standard for this, all the power quality problems and related to the electrical engineering. So what the standards follow by these two utility, one is transmission company and distribution companies that follow these standards or codes. Otherwise, they face the penalties if they don't follow these standards. If they improve these standards, so sometimes they provide the incentive to this. What is the role of consumer or industrial user to solve this power quality problem? So as we know that at the consumer side or load side, mostly the industrial loads, all are the non-linear loads which is responsible to this power quality problems like generation of harmonic or voltage sag. So that also follow these rules and regulation. They maintain the power quality problems within the limit, within the standard limits as per the standards made by the regulatory commissions. Clear? So in the next lecture, we will study the detail about this. What is the regulatory commission and what are the regulations in different states in India? What are the problems related to making the standards in power, related to the power quality standards in India? Because in India, different state has a different power quality standards. There is no such single documents available for whole India there to follow these standards related to the power quality problem. So different states has a separate state electricity regulatory commission that make the standards related to the electrical engineering, same way for the power quality problems. So all the states have a different power quality standards. That we will discuss in the next lecture. What are the problems in Indian perspective related to the power quality standards? That. So here we complete almost this chapter. We cover all the topics like this one. This is your syllabus of the chapter 1, power quality. In your syllabus, this is your third chapter. So all this component we have covered. Definition of different power quality problem. What are the sources of power quality problem? how we can mitigate this power quality problem, devices used to monitor or analyze the power quality problems, and the standards. So I provide the standards, all the standards literature is available in online. I will provide this 3 or 4 documents related to these standards. The number of documents is available, but we read only this IC 6100 standard, IC 1159 and IEEE 519 standards. Okay. So I provide the document related to these standards because in India we generally follow this IEEE 1159 and IEEE 519 standards. Okay. So I provide the document of these standards. So to read this document, detail about this power quality problems, range of power quality problems, it is given in that. So that is for self-study. I give this last part. Different standards, IC, IEEE. Okay. So if you have any doubt, you can ask the question. Yes, anyone? Any doubt in this lecture?